My name is Nick Hanley. My full name is Nicholas William Hanley. I googled it once. Turns out it means victorious protector of the high meadow. Which is like kind of cool and kind of gay at the same time. It sounds sporty to me. Like my dad really wanted me to be better at football, but instead he got Ellen DeGeneres into third-round hormone treatments. Hair on the arms, but beard still patchy. Started going to therapy recently. I don't want to brag, but I've been diagnosed with mild depression. Yeah. It's doctor speak for a whiny millennial. Mild depression, that's what the psychiatrist called it. I'm white people taco sauce depressed. Like, it's spicy, but you can still eat the taco. I'm not one of these people running around, the taco's too spicy, I gotta jump off a bridge. I'm mild depression. I'm laid back. I'm just like, hang out in bed all day because nothing matters, man. We're all gonna die anyway. Who cares? And I've been in therapy for like 3 weeks. I've been starting to go back through some childhood memories, and I'm realizing that I was a fucked up kid. Like, I used to think I was normal, but no, I did some messed up stuff. Like, you know when you're a little kid and you want to stay home from school, so maybe you fake sick, and if your parents are good at their jobs, they take you to a doctor and call your bluff. Well, that happened to me, only I was 9, and I tried to use my uncle's recent death to get out of going to school. And I ended up in grief therapy. And you hear that and you think, good, you probably needed some therapy. Because what kind of tiny monster did I have to be at 9 years old to think, all right, tragic death of a loved one, child coping with mortality for the first time, I can use this. Yeah. And I know now what I did was wrong, but in my defense, 9-year-old me really hated going to school. And so it was a work of art too. Like, it was a great performance. My mom comes in to wake me up for school. I'm lying face down in my bed whimpering. What's wrong, honey? I don't want to go to school today. Well, why? Look up, hit her with the sad child eyes. I miss Uncle Scott. Guys, it worked like a fucking charm. I was free and clear to spend the day playing Pokemon, and all it cost me was any chance I ever had of getting into heaven. One flaw in the plan, 9-year-old me did not realize a good mother doesn't just leave her grieving child alone all day to do whatever he wants, like, I'm sure you'll be fine. No, so she comes back in an hour later, Nick, get dressed, I need to take you somewhere. And in my head I'm thinking, oh yes! She's gonna take me to Toys R Us to cheer me up, because I'm a tiny monster, remember? And we get in the car, and she tells me I'm going to see a grief counselor, a doctor who specializes in helping people with sadness and coping. And I'm like, oh no, she's on to me. She's called my bluff. But it's fine, it's only an hour, and then I have the rest of the day to play Pokemon, so I can get through it. I can do this, I can fake my way through grief therapy. I'm 9 years old. I'm old enough to trick an adult trained in child psychology. So we get to therapy, and I give my second Oscar-worthy performance of the day. I start off shy, I don't trust the doctor, she's got to open me up with a game of Battleship. I start to talk a little bit, I get sadder, right as the hour's coming to an end. Breakthrough, closure, acceptance. Uncle Scott's in a better place now. Gee, thanks, Doc. And we walk out, my mom's like, do you feel better? I'm like, yeah. Which wasn't total bullshit, I did actually feel a little better. 9-year-old me had some stuff to work out, who would have guessed? I don't know when I grew out of being a sociopath, but I'm really glad it happened. And the worst part, no, I didn't learn a lesson. Tiny monster. Worst part, we get in the car. I hit her with the hopeful child eyes. Can we go to Toys R Us on the way home, Mom? And she said yes! And judge me if you will, but I got the Lego Ninja Temple set and I have no regrets. I don't want to disappoint anybody in the audience, but I am not single, sorry. I'm terrible at being single. The last time I tried to have a one-night stand, I ended up in a 2-year relationship. And it's still going strong, and I'm happy with it, and I'm not trying to leave it anytime soon. Because I remember it was a long, hard road to get to a stable, romantically mature relationship. I had to figure a lot of shit out on my own. Because no one tells you what to do, and they should. Like, okay, my first kiss, I was 5 years old. I just went through puberty. I was 5 years old. Two girls had crushes on me, and they would chase me around the playground. They'd never leave me alone. One day, they pushed me into the sandbox and pinned me down, and wouldn't let me get up until I kissed one of them. Which, like, okay, that's just kind of like a story about cute kids doing dumb stuff. Until you realize it's just the world's first and only adorable sexual assault. You know, like, flip the roles and make it 10 years later and I'm going to prison. You know? And I don't, look, it wasn't traumatizing, obviously, we were just kids, and I don't blame them because they didn't know any better, none of us did. And that's because our parents and teachers didn't do their fucking jobs. Because we don't teach kids about romantic etiquette, because for some reason in this country we're afraid that if we teach kids about romance, they're all gonna go, well, fuck these blocks, and just start fucking on the playground. And so instead, it's the one thing we let kids figure out for themselves, and it's the worst thing because children are idiots, and they do terrible things. We all knew that one kid whose thought process went like, that girl makes me feel funny. I don't like feeling funny. I'm gonna push her off the swing set. Then the girl runs crying to her mom. Mom of the year tells her, well, it's just because he likes you, which is terrible. You're setting the girl up for a future as a blurred out face on cops. Stop it. And it's just this bizarre process of trial and error. Like in 2nd grade, I wrote the girl I had a crush on a coded letter. You know, like the Zodiac Killer. And you know, it's dangerous too. Like you're dealing with these emotions and it's scary, and if people find out, it's humiliating because you're a child and feelings are weakness. And I had this nemesis, this girl named Genevieve, and she made my life hell. And I told my mom about it once. My dad's here, he knows. I told my mom about it once. She said, textbook line, which just means she likes you. I thought, oh, so that's what love is. Sabotage. Incidentally, no idea how my parents got divorced. So then I get to high school, right? And all these humiliations and failures, it builds up, confidence is shot, and I hate to admit it, but I was a nice guy. You know, one of those whiny bitches. He's like, well, if I just never tell them how much I like them and just hang around all the time, they'll eventually realize they love me, and that'll work, that's a plan. But it didn't, obviously. And I did horrible things. I did horrible manipulative things because of this. I convinced a girl to break up with her boyfriend because I wanted to date her. Didn't get there. Didn't get there. And, you know, fortunately, I came out of it. I came out of it because I had the breakthrough that I think everybody needs to have at some point in their life to reach romantic maturity, which is that 1980s movies are fucking bullshit. And I realized that on Valentine's Day, my senior year, when I decided enough was enough, and I went and I grabbed my guitar like a douchebag, and I've spent $60 on roses. I don't know where these roses were coming from, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. I don't know, $60 on roses. I set up on stage at my high school's theater. My friend brings the girl down. I play a cute little song. I hand her the roses. And as I'm handing her the roses, I realize I didn't think of a thing to say to follow this shit up. So I hand her the roses. I'm just like, how about it? You and me, What do you think? She just shrugged and said no. Because of course. That's not how love works. And I had that breakthrough. You can't trick someone into loving you, you know? They either like you or they don't, and if they don't, you just gotta move on and stop being such a creep all the time. And all of that could have been avoided if my parents and teachers had done their jobs and taught me how the world was supposed to work. So the moral of that story is fuck you, John Cusack. And your fucking boombox. It's good to be in LA. I'm having fun living out here. I'm from here, was in Boston. Don't miss Alston at all. Shout out to Alston. Terrible place. My best Alston story, a friend of mine was in town from high school, and you know, I'm a good host. I like to give my friends the full Alston experience. So we got really high and went to McDonald's at 11 p.m. on a Thursday. And you know, it's 11 p.m. on a Thursday in Alston, so the line is just all drunks and homeless people. And across the room, this blackout drunk girl locks onto me with that drunk Terminator vision girls get. She stumbles across the room, falls on my friend, and says, "Tonight is the best night of my life." Which is not a phrase that anyone who's blackout drunk at a McDonald's in Alston on 11 p.m. on a Thursday should say. For most people, that's rock bottom. But for her, the best night of her life Fair enough. Line's not moving. I'm a curious person. Why? Why is tonight the best night of your life? Well, because there's this guy I really like, and I'm gonna blow him. And she did the fist bump. I didn't make that up. Blow him. And that caught me off guard. Mostly because I've never seen a girl that excited about a blowjob before. But, hey, I asked her, who's the guy? She says, he's the guy who's helping me produce my music. Oh, no. So you're blowing your music producer? She's like, yeah. At this point, I'm pitying this girl, because objectively, I think my life is way better. You know, she's drunk, she's got terrible eating habits, she's going about her music career in all the wrong ways. Because there's nobody worth blowing in Boston. If you want to make it in the music industry, you have to move to New York or LA and blow somebody who matters. You gotta do it right. But she turns it around on me. She turns it around in an instant by following it up with, and I'm gonna get a McChicken to celebrate. And it was at that point that I realized I just don't know how to enjoy life. This woman knows exactly what she wants, and she is getting it. And her fetish is a McChicken sandwich and a sloppy blowjob. I don't have any fetishes. I'm very vanilla. You're welcome, parents. But my friends do. I have a lot of friends, and they're very proud about it. You know, they love to tell me about it. And honestly, I don't care. I don't want to know. I don't need that image of my friends in my head. I don't care that they do it. I just don't think it makes you special or interesting. You know, people have had fetishes for thousands of years. They never felt the need to talk about it. I think that's the way it should be. Like, for all I know, my grandpa really likes a belt around his neck, but we're not going to find out until he's swinging Carradine style from the closet. And then we all have to take that shit to our graves because no one wants to tell grandma what happened. And that's the way it should be. It's the natural order. So I tell my friends, don't tell me about your fetishes. And they get mad. They get defensive. They say, well, it's perfectly natural. Which I think is kind of a bullshit argument, if I'm honest. It's not natural the same way like sexual orientation is natural, you know? Like, dolphins have gay sex. Penguins have gay sex. It's pretty natural. Dolphins don't dress up like penguins and fuck each other. That is something that only people do. But how great would nature documentaries be if that wasn't the case? I'd watch that. Turn on Animal Planet. The blue-footed booby. The male blue-footed booby will spend hours combing the beach, searching tirelessly for the perfect rock to present to his potential mate. If the female deems the rock acceptable, she'll put on a leather gimp mask and flog him until completion. Thank you. That's my time. And I'm gonna get him a chicken to celebrate.